Good afternoon, everyone. We are going to continue from what was said yesterday, that math class is going to begin from today. Word of introduction, I am the key gift tutor. For today is indices. That's the topic we are going to be looking at this afternoon, indices. I usually tell my students this on this topic indices. This topic indices is the foundation of mathematics. Now, what is indices? Let's liken indices to be the picture you can see now. A, a big man, sort of, carrying a little guy, right? Now, this big man carrying the little guy, when you look at it carefully, you will see that the little guy up there has what is called a trumpet sound, or a microphone, rather, that's the right word, a microphone, or a megaphone, as the case may be. Now, with that megaphone, he can command the big guy what should be done. And the big guy has no other option than to do it. Yes. So let's liken that to indices. So whatever the big guy tells, whatever the small guy, who happens to be, we can call the small guy in that case the commander. Yes. Whatever that small guy, who happens to be the commander, tells the big guy definitely will do it. He will definitely carry out the action. It therefore means that that small guy, you can see he has the power, because power does not reside in your physicality. It requires it resides in your authority that you have. Put it this way now. So I have something like this: 2 to the power of 3. Remember, we said this guy now is like a small guy who is a commander. So there are different names. It can be called power. We can call him power. Another name for this small guy up there is, we can call him index. That's another name. We can also call him exponent. And when you have this big guy here, this big guy here is called the base. That's what he's called. If you are able to recall this as a foundation, that's what indices is all about. So now, in this case, we are not drawing a big guy, we're not drawing a small guy, but we can liken this to the big guy and the small guy. So this small guy up here, remember we said he's a commander. So whatever he tells us, the small guy, whatever he tells the big guy here, he will do it. So what he's saying here is that the exponent, the index here is 3. So it's telling this big guy that you have to duplicate yourself into 3. You have to, let me not use the word duplicate. Duplicate means multiplication. So since we're dealing with mathematics, so duplication in this case is multiplication. So the instruction being given by this guy here is duplicate yourself in 3. So 2 power 3, as is popularly called, can now be 2 times 2 times 2. Duplicate yourself in 3, multiply yourself in 3 places. So sometimes I've seen students do something like this. This is wrong. This sign here means it's not equal to 2. 2 power. Now, the next thing we're going to be looking at is the laws of index. The first law is called multiplication law. Now, another name for the multiplication law, I can give us another name for the multiplication law. Multiplication law, more or less, like, it has to do with bringing your friends together. That's what multiplication law is, bringing your friends together. So, for instance, I had something like this: 2 raised to the power of 3 multiplied by 2 raised to the power of 4. So what it means is a multiplication law. Note something. These are the big guys, right? And you can see the big guys are the same. They are both 2. The powers now would be added. It says bring them together. So that would now give us 2 to the power of 3 plus 4, which will give us 2 to the power of 7. That's multiplication law. It's as simple as ABC, just like that. But note that don't be deceived by, maybe you were given something like this, and then you say, oh, multiplication law tells us that we add up their powers. No. Multiplication law, the powers will only be added when their bases are the same. Now, the second law is more or less like the opposite of the first law, which is the division law. On this, remember, their bases must be equal. Don't forget that. So if I had 3 to the power of 4, what's divided by 3 to the power of 1. So what would this give us? This will give us 3 to the power of 4 minus 1. Why? Because their bases are the same. So I subtract their what? Their powers. And this will finally give us the answer 3 to the power of 3, which is 27, if we want to simplify further. So these are the first two laws. Okay, so we'll move to the next one, which is the zero index. When we say zero index, the zero index means that the power or the exponent has a zero. It's as simple as that. So in the case of the zero index, a simple name we can give to the zero index is that we can call it I am alone, like the opposite of Liverpool. It will not work alone. In this case, you'll be alone. I am alone. Let's call the zero index I am alone. So now note, when you say zero in mathematics, because math is not abstract the way people think it is. When you say zero in mathematics means, let me use vernacular, it means sapa. After all, I think it's an English dictionary, yeah. So zero means sapa, means nothing, like it's empty. That's what zero means, it's empty. So when something is empty, what does that mean? It means there's nothing there. So it means that this big guy does not have the commander. The big guy does not have the commander, he's alone. So in that case, zero index look like a magic. Yeah, some people sometimes call it the magical law. So the zero index can be written as 1, meaning anything raised to the power of 0 is 1. Any number raised to the power of 0, it's 1. It's called the power law. Yes, the power law. The power law. So the power law can also be called the power of power. In this case, let me use something that people don't really like at some point, but I'll explain it. Now, I have a to the power of x or to the power of y. I know some people will be scared. We've been working with numbers, everything has been going on smoothly. So what happened? Why are we now going to x and y? Who did we offend? Now, this is it. Whenever you see alphabet in mathematics in this nature, just note this. Don't let this x and y get you confused. What it simply means is that it's representing a number. As simple as that. So power law, a to the power of x or to the power of y, this can be written as a to the power of x, y. Let me use number, so some persons will not be confused. 3 to the power of 5 or to the power of 2. So what this power law tells us is, in a ship, in English language, they'll say 2 captain cannot be in a ship, right? I think that's how they usually say it. So you can't have 2 captain on a ship. So sort of one person has to take the lead. So this guy is a commander. Remember, don't forget this guy, that this commander is our power, right? So this commander, and this is also another, this is a commander, and this is also another commander. We can't be having 2 commanders. As a result of that, what do? We will have to come together and agree. Oh, one will have to lead the other. But the point is, in math, there should be an agreement. So they will come together and agree. So that agreement is multiplication, coming together. 5 times 2 give us 10. So that will now give us 3 to the power of 10. So we've been able to look at 4 laws. Multiplication law, say when their bases are equal, you add up their powers. Division law, when their bases are equal, you subtract their powers. We talked about the zero index. Zero index, we call the zero index I am alone, just the opposite of Liverpool. And then the last law we just looked at is the power law, which is also called the power of power, not a political party. It's just the power of power. Then we are going to be looking at an extension of that fourth law, which was the power law, and that extension of it is called product power law. That's the extension, product power law. So now what does the product power law tells us? The product power law, this is how it works. So if I have a, b, all to the power of y, what this means is this will be a power y and then b power y. What it's saying is that, remember, the product power law is an extension of the power law. So the power outside multiplies all of what you have inside. That's the power. We are only referring to the power here. So the power is affecting this because there's a 1 here, and the power is also affecting this. So when you multiply this times 1, you have y. Y times 1 also you have y. Let me use numbers as usual, so some persons will not seem to be confused. So if I had 5 to the power of 2 and I had 3 to the power of 4 all to the power of 2, this will give us 5 power 4, and then dot here indicating multiplication, please. And then this will be 3 power 8. 3 power 8, that's for the product power law. Now we're making progress. We have 2 more laws we are going to look at, and those 2 laws will end the class for today, and tomorrow we are going to continue and look at other laws. Now we're going to look at the next one, which is called the negative index. Yes, the negative index. How does this negative index work? I have a name for negative index also. I just like giving them a special name, all of the laws. I like a special name for all of them. Now, this negative index, when we say negative index, it means that that power, our commander, is having negative. And when you get negative, negative in writing is just minus. So something like this, a to the power of minus x. I can call the negative index like a hungry guy or a hungry dog. You see a dog that is hungry and you're eating on the table. What would the dog do when you're eating? A hungry dog. That thing you're thinking that's what it will be. That's what it will do. It will run and hide under that table. So that is what the negative index is all about. So this is it. This will now become 1 over a power x. So what happened is that this guy, all of them, they ran under the table. That's where they ran to. So if I have it in numbers now, 5 to the power of 3, this will be 1 or one whole number, 5 to the power of 3. That's how it works. That's for negative index. As simple as that. Now the seventh law, which will be the last law we are going to be looking at, is called fractional index. Yes, this is where we're going to be stopping for today. Fractional index. This is where we'll end the class. Fractional index. So the fractional index, this is how it works. I have a to the power of x over y. This will be equal to y root a all to the power of x. Some persons, what is going on? What just happened? It's very simple. This is how I explain fractional index to make it very simple. This is a denominator, because this is a fraction first of all. X over y is a fraction. So x is power, which is your numerator is your power, your denominator is your root. As simple as that. Let me use numbers. 16 to the power of 3 over 4. This now will become 4th root 16 all to the power of 3. Right? Simple. Okay, so the seventh law is a fractional index. We are going to look at two more laws to be able to complete this. And the two more laws we are going to be looking at, one of them is called distribution law. Distribution law. So in the distribution law, this is how it works. So I have A multiplied by B all to the power of n. If you look at this, you see their bases are different, right? So because their bases are different, what happens? The powers, each of them take the same power that is outside this bracket, because the power outside this bracket here is affecting all of the powers that you have inside, which will now mean that this will become A to the power of n multiplied by B to the power of n. And it's as simple as that. That's the distribution law. Then we are going to look at the last law, which is number 9. Yes, number 9. The number 9 law is very important also, just as others. The number 9 law is called the inverse law. So in the inverse law, I have something like this. A over B all raised to the power of minus 1. This will be equal to B over A all power 1. That's the inverse law. Yes, inverse. That's all. That's all. So this is what I want to plead with us. If you've gone through this, and as you've gone through all of these things, you still need clarification, you can reach out to me directly. Send me a DM and I'll respond to you immediately I get the message. Yes, I'll respond to you immediately I get the message. As much as I could, I would try to respond to you so we learn these things. They're very simple. Remember, nobody should tell you these things are difficult. If that person should, tell the person what? Apart from me. How many times? 3 times. So I hope to see you in the next class. I will continue from here we'll stop. Thank you so much.